Hello and welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest car news and reviews. This week we're checking out a bargain crossover from Volvo. Can this little SUV really deliver Porsche performance for 35 grand?
We're also looking at the all-new 8th generation BMW 5 Series, and Skoda squares up to Vauxhall with its new Kamiq.
Plus, a manual supersaloon from Cadillac. That's all coming up. First though, the news. The future of the famous Geneva Motor Show looks to be in doubt following a disastrous turnout to the event this year. After cancelling the event in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic just days before doors were scheduled to open, the 2024 Geneva International Motor Show was the first to be held since then. But most of the manufacturers who were left disappointed back then didn't seem to be bothered about returning this year. What usually consists of countless halls filled with every car maker you can think of was reduced to a few rooms with just 4 major manufacturers: Renault, Dacia, MG and Chinese brand BYD. Only a handful of new cars were unveiled, the highlight being the all-new electric Renault 5. There are plenty more European motor shows to look forward to this year, but we're unsure whether we'll ever see another one in Geneva.
If there's one car that's guaranteed to set the pulse racing of every business user in the country, it's the BMW 5 Series. For decades it's defined the executive saloon class with its handsome look, swish interior and superb handling. So then this, the new 8th generation car, has some big tyres to fill. For the first time, the 5 Series will be available as an EV, known as the i5, but ICE and hybrid models are on offer as well. In both petrol and electric form, it's fair to say that this 8th generation 5 Series isn't the prettiest in the dynasty. But really, what did you expect from BMW's designers in 2024? The kidney grills have merged into one giant mouth, flagged either side by some small but aggressive headlights. Like the bigger iX, the slab-sided bodywork is unflattering to the smaller wheel options too, but thankfully all is forgiven when you step inside. BMW interiors are tough to beat right now, and the 5's is no exception. It's as modern and stylish as anything from Mercedes, but likely to age better thanks to its simple, classy, curved screens and high-quality materials. As standard, the 5 Series comes with Vegenza, artificial leather, but you can spec some real cowhide if you prefer. Other options include a panoramic roof, a Bauer & Wilkins sound system, and enough tech to satisfy any gadget-obsessed business person who finds a BMW on their company car list. From launch, there's 1 mild hybrid petrol car on offer, 3 plug-in hybrids and the electric i5. However, in another first for the 5 Series, BMW has said there won't be a diesel joining the lineup anytime soon. The entry-level 520i starts at £51,000, and for that you get a 2-litre motor with 48-volt mild hybrid assistance, producing 205 brake horsepower. It's not the fastest thing in the world, hitting 62 from rest in 7.5 seconds, but its fuel economy is okay, and it'll still look the part in the office car park. Next up is the 530e at £59,500. This plug-in hybrid model uses the same 2-litre engine, but power is now up to almost 300 bhp, thanks to the additional electric motor. It's more than a second quicker to 62, but it loses out on top speed. As with all plug-in hybrids, its outrageous WLTP economy figure of more than 400 miles per gallon depends on you keeping the batteries charged. But if you do, the 530 will achieve up to 62 miles of electric-only driving. Top of the range is the 550e. The price takes a big jump to more than £76,000, but so does the performance. Unlike the cheaper cars, the 530 gets a 3-litre straight 6 with all-wheel drive and 482 brake horsepower. 0 to 62 miles per hour takes just 4.3 seconds, but its EV range is less impressive at 56 miles. Until the arrival of the new M5, this is the quickest 5 Series you can get, but the big BMW has, as always, competition from Stuttgart.
It's not just BMW that's been busy updating its lineup. This is the all-new Mercedes E-Class, and unlike the 5 Series, it's definitely a looker. It's a clear evolution of the old car with some S-Class inspired details like the flush door handles and intricate rear lights, as well as the new front grille, which has the option to be backlit. As is often the case with new cars, the E-Class has grown. It's both longer and wider than before, but that's resulted in improved cabin space. The boot stays the same at 540 litres, but that's put down to 370 on plug-in hybrid models. And that brings us neatly on to the new selection of powertrains. All models are either mild or plug-in hybrids, and all make use of a 9-speed automatic transmission. There are both petrol and diesel mild hybrids on offer, each offering somewhere in the region of 200 horsepower, with the diesel model boasting an MPG figure of 58.9. Next up, the plug-ins. From launch, there are 2 petrol PHEVs to choose from, but a diesel will be arriving at some point. The entry-level PHEV is the E300e, which pairs a 2-litre 4-cylinder with a 25.4 kilowatt-hour battery for a combined 312 bhp. There's also a more powerful E400e, which gives you an extra 69 horsepower. Nice.
So then, is the new 5 Series good enough to take on the E-Class? Or is it destined for a life as a Munich taxi? Well, if you like the way it looks and don't mind having to plug it in, the 5 Series remains as impressive as ever. For us though, with its sharp looks and greater selection of engines, it's the Mercedes that we pay our benefit in kind for.
Skoda's smallest SUV has had a refresh. This is the new 2024 Kamiq, the budget-friendly crossover to rival the likes of the Ford Puma and Renault Captur. As the Czech brand's second best-selling model after the Octavia, the Kamiq is a very important car to Skoda, and as such, they've done a thorough job of revitalising it. At the front, there's a new, bigger, more upright front grille, while the bumpers, front and rear, have been redesigned for a sportier look. Likewise, the interior has been improved. Many of the touch points throughout the cabin are now sustainable, made from recycled and natural materials. All versions get a new dual-screen infotainment system with smartphone mirroring built in as standard. However, while even the most modest of Kamiqs is well equipped, there are 3 different trim levels to choose from. Entry-level SE cars start at £24,000 and get LED headlights, dual-zone climate control, keyless entry and 17-inch alloys, among other things. Next up is the mid-range SEL. For an extra £3,000, this gains bigger wheels, a bigger pair of screens inside, ambient cabin lighting and tinted windows. And if you fancy a bit of rally flavour for your Skoda crossover, there's this, the top-spec Kamiq Monte Carlo. Inspired by the rally of the same name, the Monte Carlo gains some black trim, diamond-cut alloy wheels and a panoramic sunroof. Better yet, it gets a selection of driving modes and something called Sport Chassis Control, which allows you to adjust the damping. Quite how many Kamiq owners will actually want to do that remains to be seen, but the offer is there for £29,275. Powering the Kamiq is a 1-litre 3-cylinder TSI engine. In basic SE cars, it produces 94 brake horsepower and comes with a 5-speed manual gearbox. Step up to the SEL and you have the option to upgrade with an extra 20 horsepower, a 6-speed manual or an automatic DSG box. At the top of the Kamiq tree, buyers can opt for the potent 1.5 engine. This not only increases power all the way up to 148, but also promises good fuel economy with cylinder deactivation, reducing consumption on a cruise.
But how does VW Group's latest crossover compare with the best from Stellantis, the really rather attractive Vauxhall Mokka? A huge departure from the bland styling of the old model, the new Mokka is the coolest Vauxhall we've seen in years. It's utterly modern with the company's new so-called visor front end. At the back, the striking design continues with some slim rear lights and bold Mokka badging along the tailgate. And the good news continues to the cabin, where it looks like no other Vauxhall SUV that we've ever seen. Okay, it isn't quite as colourful and funky as some other cabins in this class, but you get a big pair of screens sitting atop the dash and buttons in place of a gear selector. It's just as spacious as the old car, despite being slightly smaller. While the overall length of the car may have shrunk by 125mm, the shorter overhangs and increased wheelbase mean the Mokka is still as practical as ever, although boot space has shrunk by 6 litres. Under the bonnet, the Mokka gets broadly the same engine selection as its Stellantis stablemate, the Peugeot 2008. Entry-level cars get a 1.2-litre turbocharged petrol motor with just 99 bhp and a 6-speed manual. A more powerful 134 horsepower version of the same engine is also available, this time with the added choice of an automatic gearbox. A diesel version is also available with 109 brake horsepower, capable of well over 60 miles per gallon. But for those after clean economy, there's also a pure electric version called the Mokka E. It makes use of a 134 horsepower electric motor hooked up to a 50 kilowatt-hour battery, which Vauxhall says is good for a WLTP range of 201 miles.
The Vauxhall then appears to be the more diverse car, with a great range of powertrain options. The Marmite styling though won't be to everyone's taste, and it's about £1,000 more than the Skoda. It also lacks the Kamiq's premium feel, and it can't get close to the Czech car's excellent practicality. Overall then, it's the Kamiq that comes out on top. As ever though, this is an exceptionally crowded class, so do make sure to shop around. After the break, a 200-mile-per-hour Cadillac.
Coming up, Cadillac's AMG beta. But first... After Volvo announced it would no longer be making any saloon and estates, we felt a bit worried. Its estates in particular became famed for their safety, reliability and luggage capacity, and we were worried that its lineup of worthy but ultimately rather bland SUVs would struggle to pick up the slack. But this, the new EX30, seems on the face of it to be the bargain buy of the century. Yes, it's a small SUV, and yes, it does weigh nearly 2 tonnes, but with a starting price of under £35,000 and a 0-62 sprint matching Porsche 911s, maybe Volvo's decision to ditch the estate won't be such a hard pill to swallow after all. And it looks good too. At the front, it gets a modern Volvo logo, a closed grille, and Thor's Hammer LED headlights, while at the back it gets some on-trend Volvo script. Despite its tall and bulky appearance, the EX30 is in fact quite small, with a similar wheelbase to that of the C30 hatchback it produced nearly 2 decades ago. Externally, there are 5 colour options, including this rather fetching cloud blue, and a range of wheels up to 20 inches. Inside, you're greeted by a lovely 12.3-inch portrait central display, which sits atop a typically Volvo-y minimalist dashboard. The aesthetic certainly works to minimise the buttons and switches, but some useful functions are hidden within menus on the display and can be difficult to access. There are 4 interior design trims, or lounges as Volvo likes to call them, which adorn the dash and cover the seats in recycled materials, like the one made from recycled denim or a second from repurposed PVC window frames. We especially like the selection of interior colours and ambient lighting, which makes each EX30 feel unique, something lacking from this class and price point. So, what's under the bonnet? Well, as we mentioned, it's fully electric with various powertrain options. Entry-level single motor cars get a 69 kilowatt-hour battery paired with a 268 bhp motor, while twin performance models get a pair of motors with a combined output of 422 bhp borrowed from the smart #1 Brabus. This performance translates into a sports car beating 0 to 62 time of 3.6 seconds, while still achieving 286 miles of range. Impressive for a sub £50,000 car.
So with performance stats like that, and at a super mini price tag, it would seem the EX30 has the market to itself. Well, not quite. This is Jeep's offering, the Avenger. Like the EX30 is a world away from Volvos of old, the Avenger couldn't be further away from the Wrangler. First off, it's electric only, at least for now, and it isn't a 4x4. Instead, power is sent only to the front wheels from a 54 kilowatt battery. Range is competitive enough at 245 miles, although Jeep reckons more is possible if you stay in town. Jeep does offer something of a nod towards its 4x4 heritage though. There's a so-called select terrain system which gives you a selection of driving modes including snow, mud and sand. The Avenger though is not built for performance like the Volvo. With 154 brake horsepower on tap, the littlest Jeep will hit 62 miles per hour from a standstill in a steady 9.3 seconds onto a top speed of 93. It might not be the fastest EV out there then, but with its small footprint and high driving position, it's sure to be a big hit among urban commuters. Step inside and the chunky go-anywhere theme continues. There is the option for a body-coloured dashboard, and there's loads of storage space too, with numerous cubbies and a decent boot. Another highlight is the new 10.25-inch infotainment system. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included as standard, and thankfully all climate controls are operated via buttons, not through the screen. Prices start at under £36,000, similar to the Volvo.
So, does the Volvo have what it takes to top-trump the Jeep? In our opinion, yes. It's as premium as much more expensive cars in this class, and with performance stats to worry Porsche owners. We're still sceptical about Volvo's redirection, but the EX30 does soften the blow.
In Europe, the mid-size luxury saloon class may be dominated by the BMW 5 Series, but in the US, Cadillac is doing its best to provide a challenge. The CT5 is a well-priced competitor that offers all the creature comforts one would expect of an American highway cruiser. But what if you're looking for more oomph than the circa 300 horsepower runabout? As that thunderous exhaust note hints, the all-new Cadillac CT5V BLACKWING provides just that. Lurking beneath a subtly redesigned bonnet is a 6.2-litre supercharged V8 engine. This range-topping model reaches 668 brake horsepower and will put out 659 pound-feet of torque. Rivaling supercars from not too long ago, this is a family saloon to respect. Sat between that monstrous engine and the rear wheels is, hallelujah, a 6-speed manual shifter. One of the few remaining sports cars to combine the V8 thrill with a manual transmission and rear-wheel drive. Can you tell this car excites us? All this helps it to complete the sprint to 62 miles per hour in 3.6 seconds. Eventually it will reach top speed in excess of 200 miles per hour. An optional 10-speed automatic transmission does lop 0.2 seconds off its 0 to 60 time. but we'd still go for the heel-toe enabling variant. Aside from the protruding gear stick, the BLACKWING's interior is much like the lower specification CT5 models. That said, the optional carbon fibre package adds, you guessed it, carbon trim throughout the interior. The seatbacks are a notably eye-catching addition. It still retains a touch of luxury, however. A single 33-inch screen spreads across from the instrument cluster, and a selection of premium speakers is to be found inside. Along with Cadillac's hands-free Super Cruise self-driving tech and active noise cancellation, this is no doubt a lovely place to be. The Cadillac CT5V BLACKWING will go on sale this summer. However, it won't be coming to the UK. So let's hope the new BMW M5 looks better than the 5 Series. Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as Audi gives the RS6 a motorsport makeover. Don't miss it.